Hello everyone, you are welcome to Mathematics Tour. This is the third video out of the 8 videos on fractions, decimals, and percentages. If you are seeing this channel for the first time, please kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking the subscribe button and hit the notification bell to receive a notification anytime I upload a new video. Also, comment, share, and like the video. In this video, I will discuss percentages. Percentage means percent or per hundred. It is denoted by the symbol this. So this denotes percentage. 2% means 2 out of 100, written as 2 out of 100. Let's see how to write a percentage as a fraction in its lowest form. Write each of the following as a fraction and leave your answer in lowest form where necessary. So the first one is 45%, which could be written as 45 out of 100. So 5 can go in 45 and 100. 5 goes in 45 9 times. 5 goes in 100 20 times. So that means 45% is the same thing as 9 out of 20. The next one is 40%, written as 40 out of 100. The last zero cancel out the last zero. So 2 can go. 2 goes in 4 twice. 2 goes in 10, 5. That means 40% is the same thing as 2 out of 5. Then the last one, which is the third one, is 4.2 out of 100. So we cannot divide like this. What we need to do is to shift the decimal point to the front of 2 so that we have 42. So that means we need to multiply the numerator and the denominator by 10, because that is when the decimal point will come to the front of 2 and it will be 42. So that means we now have 42 out of 1,000. Then it is easy for us to do this. Okay, so if you reduce it to the lowest form, you can say what can go in 42 and 1,000. So 2 can go. So 2 goes in 4 twice, 2 goes in 2 once, then 2 goes in 10, that is 5 times, then 2 goes in 0, 0, 2 goes in 0, 0. So 4.2% is the same thing as 21 out of 500. Also, let's see how to write a percentage as a decimal number. Write each of the following as a decimal number. So the first one is 35%, written as 35 out of 100. So you know that when you are dividing by power of 10, so you shift the decimal point backward. So currently 35 is something as 35.0. So since we are dividing by 100, so we have two zeros. So that means we need to shift the decimal point backward 2 times, 1 and 2. So the decimal point will be here. So that will be 0.35. So it is good to always precede the decimal point with a 0. So that means 35% is the same thing as 0.35. So for the second one, we have 30%. That is 30 out of 100. So 30 is the same thing as 30.0. So we are dividing by 100. We need to shift the decimal point backward 2 times, 1 and 2. Okay, that will be 0.30, which is the same thing as 0.3. Okay, so that is what you need to do. So for the third one here, we have 2.5%, same thing as 2.5 out of 100. So we need to shift the decimal point backward 2 times. So currently the decimal point is here. So we have 1 and 2. So that means the decimal point will be here. But wait a minute, you need to fill up this empty space with a 0. So that will be 0.025, so which is written as 0.025. So that is 2.5% as a decimal number. Next is how to write a quantity as a percentage of another quantity. So we have 3 questions here. We are to express 14 as a percentage of 35, express 3.5 as a percentage of 14, then express 17 as a percentage of 63. So let's take the first one. So we want to express 14 as a percentage of 35. That means 14 will be the numerator, 35 will be the denominator, and we multiply by 100%. So that means we have 14 out of 35 times 100%. So that is what we have. So if you look at it very well, 5 can go in 35 7 times. So 5 can go in 10 twice, and 5 goes in 0 times. Okay, so because 100 is same thing as 100 over 1. Okay, so 7 goes here once, 7 goes in 14 twice. So that means we have 2 by 20, then out of 1 by 1, so which is same thing as 40%. So that's our final answer for the first one. Then let's write the second one up here. So we want to write 3.5 as a percentage of 14. So 3.5 will be the numerator out of 14 as the denominator times 100%. Okay, so now we need to make the numerator to be a whole number. So that means we need to multiply by 10. That is when the decimal point will shift forward to become 35.0. So that means we're going to have 3.5 times 10. So we have to do the same thing to the denominator. That will be 14 times 10. So times 100%. Okay, so if you do this, the last zero will cancel the last zero here. So if you multiply 3.5 by 10, you have 35 out of 14 left, then times 10%. So 2 can go in 14 7 times, 2 goes in 10 5 times, 7 goes in 7 once, 7 goes in 35 5 times. So that means we have 5 by 5 left. So that will be 25%. Okay, so we need to scroll down to have more space. So for the third one, we want to write 17 as a percentage of 63. Express 17 as a percentage of 63. So that means 17 will be the numerator, then 63 will be the denominator, then multiplied by 100%. Okay, obviously there's nothing that can go here, so obviously we need a calculator. So you just have to pick up your calculator, then you do 17 times 100, then divided by 63. So that should give you 27.0%. That is 27.0%, or simply 27%. So next is percentage of a quantity. So how do you find percentage of a quantity? So to find the percentage of a quantity, write the percentage as a fraction and multiply it by the given quantity. For example, if you want to find um 20% of 50, okay, so we want to find 20% of 50. So what would that be? So what you need to do is to write the percentage as a fraction. That would be 20 out of 100. Then this word of, it means multiplication mathematically, then times 50, or you say, or simply say 50 out of 1 if you want. So here the last zero will cancel the last zero here, the last zero will cancel the last zero here. So we are left with what? 2 by 5. So we have 2 by 5, and that is what? That is 10. So that means 20% of 50 is, that means 20% of 50 is 10. So let's look into another one. Want to find 4.5% of 10. 4.5% of 10. So what would that be? That's a very small number. So what we need to do is to write this percentage as a fraction. That would be 4.5 out of 100, then multiplied by 10. So of course we need to make the numerator to be a whole number. So to get 45, so to do that we need to multiply the numerator and the denominator by 10, that would be 4.5 times 10 out of 100 times 10, then multiplied by 10. So let's scroll down a little bit. So this will surely give us 45 out of 1,000, then times 10. So the last zero can cancel out the last zero here. So we have 5. uh, 5 can go in 45 and then 100. 5 goes in 45 9 times, then 5 goes in 100 20 times. So obviously there is nothing that can go now. So we have 9 out of 20, but we can write it as a decimal number. So in the previous video, I showed you how to write a fraction as a decimal number. So it is pretty simple. 20 goes in 9, so that is impossible. You write 0 and put a decimal point here. Then immediately you put a decimal point here, add 0 here, that becomes 90. 20 goes in 90, that is 4 times, as 20 times 4 gives 80. So remainder 10. Okay, so we will continue to add 0 again. So if you add 0 again, you have 100. So in this time 20 goes in 100 5 times and there is no remainder. So our final answer is 0.45. So that means 4.5% of 10 is 0.45. That's a very small number. So the next thing we're going to look into now is percentage increase and percentage decrease respectively. So let's look into the first one. So to calculate the percentage increase of a quantity, make use of this formula. So that will be the percentage increase. So will be equals to, you can say PI, okay, to denote percentage increase, to be equals to the increase itself out of the actual value or the original value, actual value, okay, then multiplied by 100%. Okay, so where the increase is equals to new value the new value minus the actual value or original value. So that will give you the increase. So you just have to get a positive difference of the new and the actual values. Okay, so let's look into this example here. A theater has enough seats for 450 audience members. So the actual value will be equals to 450. After renovation, it is expected that this number will increase to 480. So that means the new value will be equals to 480. Okay, so the first one is 450. Let me write it again. So now we need to find the percentage increase. So to do this, we make use of this formula here. So what we need to do is to firstly find the increase. Okay, so the increase in this case will be equals to the new value, which is 480, subtract the actual value 450. 480 take away 450 is the increase over the actual value, which is 450, then multiplied by 100%. Okay, so let's scroll down a little bit. So if you do 480 minus 150, that will be 30 out of 450 times 100%. So if you press your calculator, this will surely give you 6.67%. So that is the percentage increase. So let's go into the next one. That will be percentage decrease. So to get the percentage decrease, you need to make use of almost the same formula, but in this case, percentage decrease will be equals to decrease over the actual value, then times 100%. So if you look at the example here, Interpolation Airlines carried a total of 383,402. So that will be the actual value, 383,402 passengers 1 year, and 287,431 the following year. So that means the new value will be equals to 287,431. So calculate the percentage decrease. So for this one, you need to be very careful. So don't forget that to get the decrease now, we need the positive difference of the new and the actual value. So in this case, we can say the new value minus the actual value. That will be very wrong. So that will give us a negative answer. So we need to start with a bigger number so that we will get the positive difference. So in this case, it will be the actual value minus the new value because the actual value is bigger. So the summary is that always make use of the bigger number. Whether you want to find the increase or the decrease, you must always start with the bigger number. So in this case, we're going to have 383,402, then subtract 287,431. So over the actual value, 383,402. That is the actual value. Then times 100%, times 100%. So if you scroll down a little bit, so if you simplify this, you're going to get 95,971 out of 383,402, then times 100%. So if you divide the numerator by the denominator, so that will give you 0.25 times 100%, and if you multiply these two together, that will give you 25%. So that is the percentage decrease. And finally, we're going to look into increasing and decreasing a quantity by a percentage. Any given quantity is always at 100% before increase or decrease. If you are to increase the quantity by a percentage, then you have to add the given percentage to 100% and find the new value. But if you are to decrease a quantity by a given percentage, then you have to subtract the given percentage from 100% and find the new value. So let me show you two examples to demonstrate this. This is the first one here. We want to increase 40% by 10%. So that means at 100%, you have 40. So that means 40 is at 100%. So if you want to increase 40 by 10% now, so that means it will go to 110%. Okay, so what will be the value of 40 when it is increased by 10%? So we need to find the value of 110%. That will be the increase. Okay, so you cross multiply like this, then it will be 100 by x equals to 110 by 40. So let's divide both sides by 100. Divide both sides by 100. This will cancel this. So x will be equals to the last 0 will cancel the last 0. So the last 0 will cancel the last 0. So you have 44 left. Okay. So that means at 110%, so you get 44, which implies that if you increase 40 by 10%, the new value will be 44. So let's look into the second one. So we are to decrease 124 by 15%. So that means at 100%, so you have 124. So if you are to decrease it by 15%, so that means we are going to have 85%. We need to find the value when it is 85%. That means it has been decreased by 15%. So you want to get the value, so you cross multiply. So you have 100 times x to be equals to 85 times 124. Let's scroll down a little bit. So if you divide both sides by 100, so 100 cancel 100 here. You have x equals to, if you take your calculator, press 85 multiplied by 124, then divide the answer by 100. So that will give you 105.4. This will be the end of the third video. Kindly watch out for the fourth one. If you are seeing this channel for the first time, please kindly subscribe to my channel. Hit the notification bell to receive a notification anytime I upload a new video. Comment, share, and like the video.